Sometimes I wonder, when did silence become uncomfortable? When did we start reaching for our phones instead of each other? You see, the hardest part about living in this age isn't the noise, it's forgetting what quiet feels like. There's a strange kind of loneliness that hides inside constant connection. We wake up to a screen, fall asleep to a glow, and in between, we scroll through 1,000 faces without ever touching a soul. If you're listening right now, pause for a moment, take a breath, and write something down, not for anyone else to see, but to remind yourself that you still exist beyond the feed. Write, I want to be here, not just online, because maybe that's the beginning, not of another notification, but of coming home to yourself. And it begins here. On one quiet Sunday afternoon, I remember one quiet Sunday afternoon, my grandson and I were sitting side by side on the porch. The sky was soft with autumn light, and the wind carried that faint smell of wood smoke and change. He was tapping on his phone, thumbs moving like quick little birds. I looked at him and said, "Who are you talking to, son?" He smiled without looking up. "Everyone," he said. And I thought to myself, everyone and yet no one. He was surrounded by 1,000 connections, yet none of them required a heartbeat. None of them required a look or a pause or that quiet listening that says, "I'm here with you." I sat there remembering when connection meant something different. When you'd knock on a friend's door or write a letter or look someone in the eye across a table. We didn't have notifications, but we had conversations. We didn't have followers, but we had friends. And somehow, even without all this speed, life felt full. The world has changed. Technology has given us miracles. It has shrunk continents, erased distances, and placed the whole human story in our pockets. But with every new gift, something fragile is at risk: our humanity. You see, in the rush to connect everyone, we've forgotten how to be truly with anyone. We scroll through lives like windows, glancing but not seeing, hearing but not listening. We touch the glass of our screens and mistake it for the touch of a hand. And yet, no matter how fast the world spins, one truth remains the same. People still long to be seen, heard, and understood. Dale Carnegie once wrote, "A person's name is to that person the sweetest sound in any language." Why? Because behind every name is a soul longing to matter. When I was a young man, I read another of Carnegie's lessons. Become genuinely interested in other people. Not pretend interest, not polite curiosity. Genuine. He said that the secret of influence wasn't cleverness or charm, but care. And that word, care, feels almost old-fashioned today. We like, we share, we react. But when was the last time we truly cared? When was the last time we stopped in the middle of our day to call someone, not because we had to, but because we wanted to hear their voice, to ask, "How are you, really?" Not through a comment or an emoji, but through the living warmth of our tone. That's what humanity sounds like. And that sound is getting rare. I sometimes wonder what Dale Carnegie would say about our digital world. He taught people how to look each other in the eye, how to listen, how to lead with kindness instead of command. And now, our eyes are lowered to screens, our listening reduced to waiting for our turn to speak, and kindness, well, it gets lost in translation somewhere between the text and the tone. He would remind us that technology doesn't change the human heart. Only we can do that. He'd tell us that the principles that built friendships in 1936 still build them today. Honesty, appreciation, and sincere interest. He'd probably smile and say, "Don't criticize, condemn, or complain, even online." A simple rule, but imagine if we all followed it before posting. A story from another time. Years ago, I met a man named Harold who ran a small hardware store in a little Midwestern town. He knew every customer by name. If your hammer broke, he'd fix it before selling you a new one. If your kid was sick, he'd ask the next time you came in. And when his store finally closed, people didn't miss the tools, they missed him. Now imagine if Harold had owned an online store instead. Would he have remembered your name? Would he have sent a message that said, "How's your little girl feeling today?" Maybe not, because somewhere between speed and scale, humanity slips through the cracks. The digital world rewards efficiency, not empathy. But life, real life, thrives on empathy. So how do we stay human when the world around us seems to be turning into data? Let's walk through 3 quiet steps. Step 1, reclaim your attention. Attention is love in its purest form. Whatever you give your attention to, you give your life to. Every time you sit with someone, give them that gift. Your full, undivided attention. Put the phone face down. Look into their eyes. Listen, not to reply, but to understand. Dale Carnegie said, "Be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves." That's not just good advice for business. It's a sacred act of friendship. You can't listen deeply while glancing at a screen. You can't understand while half absorbed by noise. So start small. 1 meal a day without your phone. 1 walk where you let silence do the talking. 1 conversation where you ask more than you tell. Attention is a form of prayer. It's how we remind others and ourselves that we still have a soul. Step 2, bring humanity into the digital world. The internet is not the enemy. It's a tool, and like any tool, it becomes what we make of it. A hammer can build a home or break a window. A phone can divide us or deepen our compassion. So, bring humanity into your messages. Write like you're speaking to a heart, not to an algorithm. Add warmth to your words. Use someone's name. Say thank you often. Pause before sending that sharp reply. Every text, every comment, every post, it's an opportunity to add a little more kindness to the collective noise. That's leadership in the truest sense. Influencing others, not by power, but by example. In The Leader in You, there's a chapter called Respecting the Dignity of Others. That's what this world needs most right now. Dignity. Even when we disagree, even when we're angry, we can choose respect. The digital age doesn't strip us of manners. We surrender them, but we can reclaim them at any moment. Step 3, create living connections. Nothing, not even the most advanced technology, can replace the power of presence. A smile that reaches the eyes, a hug that lingers, a voice that trembles with emotion. These are the languages of the soul. Make it a habit to choose the real over the virtual whenever you can. Write a handwritten note. Call instead of texting. Visit someone without a reason. And when distance makes that impossible, then let your words carry warmth. Let your messages breathe. Don't just inform, inspire. When you speak with sincerity, even through a screen, people can feel it, because the soul has its own kind of Wi-Fi, and its signal is strongest when we speak with love. You might say, "That sounds nice, but the world is too busy now." I know, but remember what Dale Carnegie taught in How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. Live in day-tight compartments. Be fully present in this day, not yesterday, not tomorrow, today. Don't let your attention be stolen by every headline, every post, every ping. Take care of the small circle that is yours to care for, your family, your friends, your community. You can't change the whole world, but you can make one person's world a little warmer. That's how humanity survives, one genuine connection at a time. I once heard a story about a little boy who asked his father, "Dad, how much do you make in an hour?" The father, busy and tired, said, $50. The boy nodded, went to his room, and came back with a small jar of coins, his savings. "Dad," he said, "can I buy an hour of your time?" That story hurts, doesn't it? Because it's too real. We're all so busy earning a living that we forget to live, so connected that we forget to connect. The tragedy of the digital age isn't that we talk to machines, it's that we've started talking like them, quick, efficient, emotionless. But you and I, we can change that. Every message we send can carry warmth. Every conversation can be an act of kindness. Every moment of attention can be a seed of peace. The great philosopher William James once said, "The deepest principle in human nature is the craving to be appreciated." Carnegie built an entire movement on that truth. And today, appreciation might just be the medicine our digital world needs most. When you see something beautiful, say it. When someone inspires you, tell them. When a friend posts something honest, thank them for their courage. Never underestimate the healing power of a kind word sent at the right time. Even through a screen, kindness still reaches the heart. Let me tell you one more story. There was a man I knew years ago, a quiet janitor in a large office building. He never owned a computer, never had social media, never even used email. But every morning, he greeted every person who walked through that door by name. He remembered birthdays, asked about children, offered small encouragements. When he passed away, the company lobby overflowed with flowers and tears. He didn't have followers. He had influence because he lived what Dale Carnegie taught. Make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. That's leadership. That's humanity. And no amount of technology can replace it. So, what does it mean to keep your soul in a digital world? It means remembering that behind every screen is a person with hopes, fears, and stories you cannot see. It means choosing patience over reaction, presence over distraction, kindness over cleverness. It means living slowly enough to notice the color of the sky, the tone of a voice, the weight of a word. It means refusing to let the noise drown out your inner music. The poet once said, "We have learned to fly in the air like birds and swim in the sea like fish, but we have not learned the simple art of walking the earth like brothers." Maybe this century's challenge is to learn the art of scrolling like brothers, to bring compassion into the current. The question isn't whether technology will make us less human. The question is whether we will choose to remain human while using it. Because every click, every comment, every conversation, it's all a choice. And those choices, stacked together, build the world our children will inherit. When my grandson finally put his phone down that afternoon, he looked at me and said, "Grandpa, do you think life was better before all this technology?" I smiled. "No," I said. "Life isn't better or worse, it's just faster. The question is, can we slow our hearts enough to keep up?" He laughed a little, and for a while we just sat there, 2 generations, one silence, and the sound of the wind in the trees. No screens, no speed, just the world as it is. And in that moment, I realized something simple and true. The soul doesn't live in the cloud. It lives in our choices, in how we treat each other, in how we listen, in how we love. So, my friend, keep your soul close. Guard your attention like treasure. Let your words build bridges, not walls. And never forget that every connection, digital or not, is an opportunity to practice the oldest art of all, being human. Tomorrow may never come, but today is here, waiting for you to live it fully, kindly, and with an open heart.